My mom raised me alone after dad d*ed, now she's sick, and my wife secretly pregnant, told me to choose between them. I guess a little background would help, both my parents were orphans. My dad passed away just 2 weeks before I was born. That left my mom and me completely on our own, with no real support system around us. But even though it was just the two of us, I never felt like I was missing out on anything. My mom worked tirelessly her entire life to give me the life I have now, never once thinking about starting over or doing something for herself. She took on every odd job you can imagine just to make sure I never went without. There were times she skipped meals so I could eat, wore the same worn-out clothes so I could look presentable. I watched her make sacrifice after sacrifice, always with a smile on her face. Honestly, I grew up believing she wasn't even human, more like an angel walking around in a woman's body. The only time I ever remember her raising her voice at me was when I was 16. She was getting sick, still working non-stop, and I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to help by getting a job myself. But she got upset and told me it wasn't my responsibility to look after her, it was her job to take care of me. She was determined that I'd get good grades and make it into a top university. That was the only way, she said, that I'd be able to take care of myself when she no longer could. Even once I got into university, she didn't want me working part-time. She wanted me to focus completely on my studies. But she encouraged me to volunteer, to learn how to use my hands and become someone who could contribute to the world. That's actually how I met my wife, while we were both volunteering. She's a good person, though she never had a close relationship with her parents or siblings. From the moment she met my mother, she was drawn to her. Sometimes it even felt like she loved my mom more than she loved me. We used to laugh about it. Deep down, I think she was searching for that mother-daughter bond she never had growing up. After I graduated and got a job, we moved in together. But she didn't really like how I called my mom every single day. And to be fair, those calls were only about 10 to 15 minutes long. Eventually, she stopped bringing it up. 2 years later, I bought a house for my mother. Growing up, we never had a home of our own, we were always moving from one apartment to the next. So buying her a house felt like the bare minimum after everything she did for me. For me, it wasn't up for discussion, it had to be done. That's when things got tense between me and my then girlfriend. She wanted me to start thinking about our future as a couple. I explained to her that ever since I was a kid, my biggest dream was to buy my mom a home. I wasn't going to let that go. But she went behind my back and complained to my mom about it. The thing is, my mom didn't even know about the house yet, it was supposed to be a birthday surprise. But when she found out, she seemed hesitant to accept it. Because of my girlfriend's reaction, she told me it wasn't necessary, that we could use it for ourselves once we were married. I was beyond angry. I told her the house was hers, plain and simple, and she could do whatever she wanted with it, but now was the time for her to finally think about herself. We managed to get through that bump, got married later on, and bought our own house. Life was going smoothly until about 2 months ago. My mom fell seriously ill, and I immediately wanted her to move in with us so I could take care of her. But my wife didn't agree. So I went ahead and rented an apartment right next door using my own money. That way I could stay close and be there whenever she needed me. Even that decision rubbed my wife the wrong way. We don't have kids yet, and both of us work full-time. I usually get home around 6 p.m., but now I stop by my mom's place first and get back by 8. On weekends, I visit her for an hour or two, and then the rest of my time is fully with my wife. We still go on dates. I take part in her hobbies, even though she's never shown interest in mine. Then 2 days ago, she told me she'd been thinking, and she feels like I put my mom before our relationship. She gave me an ultimatum: either I choose my mother or the future I'm supposed to build with her. But the thing is, I've never made her feel second. We both have jobs, but I'm the one who cooks. I even pay someone to handle the cleaning. I do the dishes she likes. She doesn't even know what my favorite meal is, because I've never complained. I draw her baths, give her massages, bring her flowers, and write her little poems that I hide around the house for her to find. Every month, we take a weekend trip together. I earn a lot more than she does, but I tell her to keep her money. I cover all the bills, including hers. I always listen to her, make sure her voice matters, and I'm flexible, willing to change my mind to make her comfortable. But I'm starting to see she wants total control. And the only area where I've never given in is my relationship with my mother. So now, I've decided it's time to sit her down and set some firm boundaries. And if she can't accept that, then we'll have to go our separate ways. Update 1. Hey everyone, I've been getting a lot of messages asking for an update. I meant to do this earlier, but I didn't want to rush it. I wanted to sit down and do it right. First off, thank you for all the comments and DMs on my last post. I couldn't reply to everyone, but I read everything, and I appreciate it deeply. Before I talked to my wife, I spent some time thinking. I came to a solid decision: never again will I let anyone, no matter who they are, dictate how much time I spend with my mom or what kind of relationship I have with her. So I was ready to respond to the ultimatum. But before giving her my answer, I asked if there was something deeper behind it, if she had any other reason for laying down that line. She said no. I asked her again, besides what she had already told me, was there anything she wanted to share but hadn't? She said there wasn't, and told me to just get to the point. So I did. I told her I wanted a divorce. She froze. Just stared at me. Didn't say a word. I think she was stunned. I laid it all out. I told her our values just don't match. This is the hardest time of my life. My mom's sick. We've been doing test after test, but we still have no clear diagnosis. Since she was an orphan, we don't have any family medical history to lean on. And that terrifies me, because at any moment, I could lose her. I'd be completely alone in this world. In a time like this, I needed support more than anything. And if the person who's supposed to have my back thinks I should just turn my focus away from my mom when she needs me most, then it's clear we're not right for each other. She still didn't say anything, so I told her I was going to stay in a hotel for now. We could figure out the logistics of separating later. I packed a few of my things and left. The next day, I went to see my mom. She could tell something was off, but I wasn't about to tell her I was leaving my wife. She's not in the condition to handle that kind of stress, especially with how much she loves my wife. I've never brought up any of our marital issues with her anyway. She thinks we're perfectly fine. Honestly, she adores my wife like she's her own daughter. And my wife has always acted like my mom was hers too. So there was no way I was going to tell her that the woman who called her mom was the same one asking me to back away from her. Then my mom told me something that caught me off guard. She said my wife hadn't come by that day. Yep, my wife. The same one who told me to cut back on spending time with my mom, had been visiting her every single day. And I never once asked her to. She used to say she was helping take care of my mom, but honestly, it always stung a little, as if I wasn't doing enough myself. But she insisted it wasn't the same, that the love and care coming from a daughter were different than what a son could give. I figured maybe this was her way of trying to create that mother-daughter relationship she never had, and I respected that. She once told me her own mother had said she was a mistake, that she should have been aborted and that she regretted not doing it. I mean, what kind of person says that to their own child? Hearing that broke something in me, and I made a decision right then. I would never stand in the way if she needed my mom's love too. I had enough of it growing up to share. After I moved out for college, my mom became a foster mother. She took in kids for years, until about 2 years ago. And I loved every one of those kids like they were my own brothers and sisters. We all stayed in touch. Once a year, we even had a tradition, a full week-long vacation with the whole group, my mom, the kids, and my wife. Every year I'd take about 2 months off from work. 6 weeks were for just me and my wife, and the other 2 were for that annual trip with my mom and the kids. But even those 2 weeks felt like too much to my wife. Anyway, I'm going off track. Back to what happened. After my mom told me my wife hadn't visited her that day, I got worried and rushed back home. I found her in the bathroom, fully dressed, red-eyed like she'd been crying for hours. Seeing her like that tore me apart. I helped her out of the bathroom, and this woman, who always held herself with such pride, just broke down in front of me. She sobbed in a way I'd never seen before. I don't know how long it went on, maybe an hour, maybe 2. She'd cry, calm down, then start again. I didn't say a word. I just sat there quietly with her. Eventually, she opened up. She admitted that deep down, she never actually wanted me to pull away from my mother. She confessed that she had always been jealous of our bond. She envied the way my mom gave attention to the foster kids too. She knew it didn't make sense, but she couldn't help herself. She was always trying to be the one person my mom loved the most. It became some weird competition for her. So when I said I wanted to care for my mom full-time, it wasn't about me being helpful, it was, in her mind, about me winning. I was furious hearing all this. I didn't say anything out loud, but I remember thinking, is she out of her mind? My mom is sick, and instead of being worried about her health, she's fixated on a fantasy rivalry. Then she dropped something even heavier. She said she was jealous of me. She told me if she had the chance, she would have chosen to be my mom's daughter rather than my wife, even though I was the love of her life and the only man she'd ever been with. She said something else that stuck with me, that no matter what happens around me, I never seem shaken. That I give so much of myself to others, but I never truly let anyone in. That no matter how much she tried, she never managed to reach the place in my heart where my mom lived. At the time, I was still caught up in the idea of this ridiculous competition, so her words didn't hit me as hard as they should have. But I stayed with her until she fell asleep. I tucked her into bed and then went to sleep in the guest room. The next morning, she was acting like nothing had happened. She was back to her usual self. She told me I didn't need to feel sorry for her. I said it wasn't pity, it was love. She was still my wife. She left for work, and so did I. But I didn't go back to the house. I checked back into the hotel instead. While I was alone, I started thinking about everything. I wondered if maybe I had done something to push her into feeling like this. Maybe she wasn't completely wrong. Maybe it was hard to be with someone like me. I realized that ever since I was a kid, I developed this habit of not getting too attached. From the age of 5 to 15, we moved over 50 times, no exaggeration. Sometimes it was from one apartment to the next, sometimes hotel rooms. It was a rough way to grow up, always knowing we could be kicked out at any time. And I think that stuck with me. I learned not to settle. Even in relationships, I think I lived like I was squatting, never fully unpacking, emotionally speaking. And while I thought I was doing things differently with my wife, maybe deep down I hadn't changed much at all. So I started thinking maybe divorce wasn't the answer. Maybe what we really needed was therapy. But then, about a week after that conversation, I got a call from the hospital. My wife had been admitted. She wasn't feeling well. I rushed over, but she refused to see me. The look she gave me when I showed up, I've never seen so much hate in someone's eyes. She didn't want me there, so I contacted her best friends so they could support her instead. Then I told my mom what had happened. She was immediately concerned and asked what I'd done to upset my wife so badly that she ended up in the hospital. Then she said something that floored me. She told me I shouldn't be stressing out a pregnant woman. I froze. What? I asked. My mom said my wife had told her she was pregnant, but had asked her to keep it a secret. She said she wanted to tell me herself when she was ready. I couldn't even process it. I was overwhelmed, angry that my mom was the one telling me, confused about why I hadn't known, and somewhere in there, stunned at the idea that I was going to be a father. I went to see my wife again and told her I knew about the pregnancy. She looked at me, ice cold, and said she had lost the baby and that it was my fault. In the span of a minute, I went from finding out I was going to be a dad, to learning I wasn't anymore, and then getting blamed for something I didn't even know was happening. She asked me to leave. So I did. I'd always wanted kids. For as long as I can remember, I dreamed of being a father. But my wife wanted to focus on her career. I respected that. I supported her, even when it hurt. I'd been trying to gently bring it up for years, but it was always a no. Now she gets pregnant, hides it from me, and only tells my mother? Then accuses me of being the reason she miscarried? She later said she didn't tell me because she wanted to see if I could handle all the responsibilities I take on and still manage to raise a child. I honestly don't understand her. And since then, I've been carrying this heavy, bitter feeling toward her. I hate feeling like this, but I can't help it. I don't even know how to look at her anymore without feeling angry. And I don't want to say something I'll regret. Right now, I'm still taking care of her at home, but we barely speak. I've already made up my mind this marriage can't continue. I started seeing a therapist. He told me that my greatest strength right now is patience. That I shouldn't make permanent decisions while I'm this emotionally raw. That I need to give myself time to see whether there's anything left here to save. So that's where I am now. I don't know if I'll write another update after this. I took some time off work so I could be there for both my mom and my wife, but the truth is, I'm drained. Depressed. I just want to escape from all of it. Still, thank you for every comment, every DM. Your support and even your tough words meant more than you know. Update 2. Hey folks. It's been a while. I honestly didn't plan on posting again, but even months later, I'm still getting messages from people asking how things turned out. So I figured I owed everyone one final update. Your words helped me through one of the darkest periods of my life. As for my wife after the miscarriage, yes, it was confirmed that she had really been pregnant. She couldn't take care of herself, so I stepped up. After everything that happened, I was filled with nothing but anger and resentment. But like I said before, if something is fragile enough to break, then it needs to be handled with care. And I didn't want her to break. I couldn't walk away when she was at her lowest. So I stayed. I did what I believed any husband should do, even with all the pain in my chest. Still, her mental state kept spiraling. She started to believe she was still pregnant. She talked to herself, sometimes confused, sometimes scared. One night, she was completely delirious, mistook me for her father and cried, convinced I was going to hurt her. That night, I called emergency services. After a full evaluation, the psychiatrist said it would be best to have her admitted to a hospital. So that's what I did. She stayed there for 6 weeks. Eventually, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and the doctors also suspected she might have a delusional disorder. They told me very carefully that there were signs of serious childhood abuse. That was all they could share. She didn't want to see anyone, not even her own family. Instead, she asked if we could communicate through letters. So I agreed. Every time I visited, I'd bring her a note. Then the next day, I'd come back and leave my reply. And here's the strange part, during those 2 months of letters, I felt like I got to know her more deeply than I had in the 10 years we'd been together. It reminded me of the person she used to be, the woman I fell in love with. The one who used to travel to remote places just to help build schools or dig wells for communities in need. Not just sending money, but showing up and getting her hands dirty. She'd go out of her way to help a stranger who didn't even speak the language, even if it meant missing her own train. She was a walking reservoir of kindness and compassion. Even when we had money, we liked taking public transportation just to remind ourselves how far we'd come and how little we needed to be happy. Some weekends, we'd go on trips without cash just to challenge each other to see how far we could get together. Those were the best years of our lives. We were deeply in love. We thought we were unbreakable. Through the letters, we started digging into what went wrong. We owned up to our mistakes, both of us. She took full responsibility for how she treated me. She apologized. She said she knew that divorce was the only realistic outcome. She told me she needed time, real time, to heal and work on herself. She said it wouldn't be fair to me if she didn't. She said that in her condition, it wasn't my job to bring up divorce. It had to come from her. There were battles she needed to face alone. And until she fought them, she'd never become the woman she was meant to be. She said she didn't know how long it would take, but if she got there and if I hadn't moved on, she'd want to try again. For most of my life, I believed broken things should be fixed, not thrown away. But I've learned that people don't work like that. You can't fix someone unless they truly want it. And truthfully, I don't have the strength left to try fixing anyone else right now. I need that energy for myself. If she hadn't made the choice to end it, I probably would have. But strangely, because she took that step, I saw a glimpse of hope that maybe she was finally ready to change. So instead of filing for divorce, I proposed we take a break, a separation. 1 year. At the end of that year, if we still felt like we had no path forward, we'd make it official. But if we both believed in starting again the right way, then we'd try to rebuild differently this time. She agreed. She said that's exactly what she'd hoped for. She didn't want us to see each other just yet. Said that if we did, she wouldn't have the strength to stick to her decision. And truthfully, I still hadn't let go of all the resentment and pain from before her hospitalization. So staying apart felt like the right thing for both of us. We continued exchanging letters. That was enough for now. She visited my mother. And later, she wrote to tell me what my mom said to her. My mom told her she would always see her as a daughter, no matter the mistakes. That she never had to compete for her love, because she already had it. And that would never change. She asked if it was okay to keep in touch with my mother. I told her it was between them. My approval didn't matter. But realistically, she probably wouldn't see my mom much anyway because I decided to move abroad with my mother so she could get care from one of the best hospitals in Europe. So, about me, I've been in Germany for almost a month now. We're originally from France. I've been learning how to delegate more, something I committed to doing during therapy. And speaking of therapy, I have to say this, many of you convinced me to go, and I will never forget that. Thank you. Therapy hasn't been easy. Some days, it leaves me so drained I can barely function. But it's getting better. Right now, I'm working remotely. Once a week, I fly back to France to take care of a few things for my company and continue sessions with my current therapist. I don't want to switch to someone new, I trust him. For the first time in a long while, I've started making space just for myself. And surprisingly, it feels good. One of my foster brothers came with us to Germany, he works remotely too, and he's been a huge support. I'm healing. Slowly, but steadily. Now, about my mom, that's the hardest part. Honestly, I don't even like talking about it, but maybe writing it here helps prepare me for talking about it out loud someday. Years ago, we were homeless more often than not, moving from apartment to apartment, sleeping in temporary housing or dingy hotel rooms. The state always found us somewhere to stay, but it was never permanent. My mother, she's always been beautiful. Too beautiful. More than once, she was offered housing in exchange for sex right in front of me. I never asked what she'd been through with my father. But I know she never even considered being with anyone else after he died. She always said that death didn't end love, it just made it invisible. There was a local charity that helped us back then, often finding us temporary housing. One night, a man from the organization said we could stay at his apartment until something better came along. Our hotel room had become practically uninhabitable, and I was the one who convinced my mom to take the offer. I just wanted us to sleep in a warm bed. At first, everything seemed fine. We had dinner at his place. Then he started making moves on my mom. She shut him down immediately. He told us to leave. Said if we weren't going to cooperate, we weren't staying. So we left. Went back to the hotel, but our room was already taken. We had nowhere to go. That night, we slept outside. Trigger warning, assault. While we were sleeping, a group of men showed up. They tried to rape my mom. They hit me so hard I couldn't even move. I wanted to help her, but I was frozen. Terrified. Thankfully, some guys who were coming home from a party heard the noise and ran over. The attackers ran off. I used to tell myself and others that my mother was almost assaulted. That word almost made it easier to live with. But the truth is, she was raped. Right in front of me. And I couldn't do a damn thing. I never said it before. But now, I'm saying it. If we had just cried together that night, maybe something would have changed between us. Maybe we would have processed it. But she didn't let it happen. She just got up, took my hand, and told me we had to find a safer place. That was it. We never spoke of that night again. We just kept going. Like nothing happened. Things did get better eventually. She worked herself to the bone so I could build a future. Every penny she made went into helping me succeed. The company I run today exists because of her. I've always wondered how she survived all of that. And when I finally accepted the truth of what happened that night, I realized something: she wasn't almost raped. She was. I've always wanted to tell her I know. That I saw it. But it's not about me. It's about her. She's the one who lived through that hell. I don't know if saying it now, after all these years, would help or just reopen wounds. So, that's where things stand today. My mom's condition is improving. The future is starting to look brighter, something I didn't think I'd say a few months ago. And I guess, that's it. That's all I have left to say. This will be my last update. To everyone who's followed me through these dark times, thank you. Truly. I wish all of you nothing but peace and healing. And may the life ahead of you be far better than anything you've already lived.